So this is me watching myself doing my first ever dance on Strictly. My partner was the wonderful James Jordan, and yes, he is wonderful. And the dance was the cha-cha-cha to Shania Twain's You Don't Impress Me Much. All I want to say before we go is the sound of that song still, and it's 11 years later, brings me out in hives. If I never heard that song, as long as I live, that wouldn't be long enough. I never ever want to hear that song again. That's what I want to say before we watch it together. So it starts off with me just standing there. James Jordan gives me a bunch of flowers and I fling it away in disgust. And we really had to practice the fling. The fling was a whole thing. I couldn't just throw. You had to fling, and I had to fling disdainfully, and I had to just get the bouquet and fling, and it had to land in a certain place. And that was before I danced a single step. And if I say that to you at home, you try flinging. Someone hold you, hand you a bouquet, and you try flinging it disdainfully over your shoulder. It's not easily done, the fling. To get the right fling, and to get the fling flung in the right direction, a far-flung fling is not an easy thing. So the practicing of the thing, I've actually dislocated my shoulder, just flinging and flinging and flinging the whole time. Also, it wasn't a real bouquet. Obviously, you don't have one in rehearsal. God knows, I think it was a feather duster or something. I was flinging, and then on the day, you finally get the actual flowers. They feel completely different from the feather duster. They're heavier, they go less far. You're completely discombobulated by the fact that they're not the feather duster, they're the actual flowers. You're like, oh my God, fling! And it's just absolute hell. So this is, remember, before I've danced a single step. The fling itself was absolutely flinging agony. Fling off is what I wanted to say. So this is the cha-cha-cha step I'm doing here, as if I know what the cha-cha-cha step is, which until this moment I really, really didn't. So what you need to know is, most of the contestants, I'd say 99.999% of the contestants on Strictly went to stage school. Some of them went to the Royal Ballet School, most of them went to stage school, some of them are actual dancers, some of them have been in boy bands or girl bands, they've all danced. It's been like breakfast, dancing, lunch, dancing, have some sex, dance, have a shower, dance. They just dance and dance their whole lives. I went to a normal school. I was just translating French verbs. I was doing Latin. I was snogging with the boys on the coach, the hyponic coach. I was doing my homework. I was watching telly. I was having chicken soup. I wasn't dancing. I never danced at all. I did a little bit of shuffling around the dance floor at discos, deeply snogging, but dancing was never a part of my life. So when James Jordan said, right, do you know the cha-cha-cha step? The answer was bloody hell no. I've got absolutely no idea what you're bleeding talking about, as you can see to look at me doing it. I think I'm doing a pretty noble job here. I'm meant to be doing it with, attitude. And I think I'm doing a considerable attitude. This is the bit where I grip Great James Jordan around the head and we go around and I fling him away. And then in order to distract from the fact that I really can't dance at all, he rips off his shirt. Now this is, pure panto, obviously. And the idea is everybody in the audience and the judges are looking at James Jordan's torso and are feeling lust and desire. Some are feeling jealousy, some are having a hot flush. People are having all sorts of, profound physical, biological reactions to James Jordan's chest. And I am just basically standing there jigging up and down rather unconvincingly in the background in the shadows and nobody notices. And the idea is it takes up a little of the time and it means that there are a few seconds where I didn't have to learn any steps. So did I love it when James Jordan took off his shirt? Yes. Was it because of his torso? With the greatest respect, no. Was it because it gave me a little respite from actually having to pretend to dance? Yes. And I wish he'd taken off his pants and had his testicles just waving about in the breeze, and then I could have stood in the shadows a little bit longer doing absolutely nothing. It was bliss for me, this point. Bliss. So you can see James Jordan is dancing a hell of a lot and I am standing stock still, yawning and looking at my watch. I think I did it quite well. And then suddenly we have to dance here. This is the bit where I really have to sort of gallop into some kind of, if I remember the name of the step I would tell you, but I can't remember what the bloody hell it was. All I can tell you is this though. Obviously, I can't dance, I don't know how to dance, and 14 million people watch Strictly. And I was haunted by this routine. This is the very first dance of the whole show. Nobody goes out that week, so you know you're not going home. You're definitely going to do one more dance. But this is the one where you make the initial impression, and everybody you've ever met, everyone you used to go out with, your ex-husband, people you were at school with, your teachers, your professors at Cambridge, the rabbi, everybody is going to see you doing this dance. And you have 3 weeks to focus on the first dance. All subsequent dances, you have a maximum of 5.5 days. But for the first dance, you have 3 weeks. So you've got no excuse for it not to be absolutely perfect and immaculate. And I swear to God, I was haunted by this dance. I'd lie down at night and I'd go through the steps in my head, and I'd go through the steps in my head, and I think I was going to be sick, and I'd be unable to sleep. And all night I was thundering around my own head, just trying to do the steps and get them in the right order and not make a mess of them. And that was when I was asleep. When I was awake, it was even worse. And this is I can't remember a damn thing about what the actual steps were called. But, you know, I didn't make a single mistake. I took it very, very seriously. I was very diligent about it. I may not have been very elegant while I did it, but I did it with all sorts of enthusiasm. And this is James Jordan, hits the floor, my foot goes down upon his buttock. That is the end. And then we have to line up before the judges, and there's nothing panto about it, let me tell you. Nothing panto at all. You've absolutely danced your soul out there. Your soul is just lying on the floor for the entire country to dissect, and deconstruct, and fling in the wheelie bin. You've never felt more vulnerable in your life. It's absolutely hellish. And then Darcy Bustle said, Vanessa, the cha-cha-cha is not your dance. And I thought, blimey, if she thinks this isn't my dance, she should see me try and dance something else, which I've never tried to do in my entire life. Craig Revel-Horwood said something or other really derogatory. I said, my God, I'm just a menopausal woman trying to dance through having a hot flush or something of that kind. The whole thing was agonizing in very, very many ways indeed. And did I keep dancing? Yes, I did, but I kept it out of the camera and just, you know, in private. So in private, I don't mind a little dance up these days, but certainly not if anyone's watching. But just to say, for anyone who doubts him, James Jordan was patient, he was kind, he was empathetic, and he was very, very gentle with me, and he was a real pleasure to dance with. And only he could have coaxed that rather atrocious cha-cha-cha out of me. But the following week, we waltzed, and that waltz is a classic. Beautiful.